Hey guys, it's Trevor again, and today we're going to be painting some Termagants that my very nice friends got for me for my birthday. Now, any Tyranid player is going to tell you that they have to paint like a billion of these guys, so to prevent ourselves from falling into a deep dark depression caused by painting endless Termagants, we're going to try and paint these in a fast and easy way. And then of course, I'm going to make some poor financial decisions and buy even more Termagants to paint. And speaking of poor financial decisions, I've just started a Patreon for all of you who want to support the channel. Look at those whopping 0 patrons and $0 per month. The link is in the description down below. Okay, let's paint these bugs. So once I've got the main bodies assembled, I'm gonna drill some holes into their arm sockets so that I can shove some magnets in there. Then I'm gonna sand down the connection points of their arms and glue some magnets onto them as well. And look at that! Now we can swap their weapon options. This comes in handy if your opponent starts frothing at the mouth and shouting, "What you see is what you get," when you tell him that all your Termagants are supposed to be armed with Devourers. Alright, and because we're forward-thinking people, we're gonna start working on the bases before we start painting the models. So grab your cup of sawdust or dirt or whatever, add some white glue, and mix it together into the finest of sludges. And then we're gonna slap it on the bases and leave them to dry. Quickly, to the painting! So we're gonna grab our slightly overpriced Wraithbone spray and prime up all our models. Yeah, this stuff is expensive, but spraying it on is way faster than priming the models grey and then painting the Wraithbone on by hand. Okay, so we've got one Termagant nicely laid out and a giant pile of his siblings wondering why we don't give them the same attention. So let's grab our black paint and paint the carapace, claws, and hooves black. Then we're gonna use some pink paint to paint his tongue, the gaps in his skin, and the tubes on his gun. Then we're gonna use this bright green paint to pick out some of the details on his gun, followed by this yellow paint to paint his normal eyes and the eye on his gun. A quick drop of black paint for the pupil on the eye of his gun. Good enough. And then we're gonna grab this dark red and dry brush it onto his claws and hooves. After that, we're gonna dry brush on a dark orange just to pick out the highest points on the claws and hooves. Then we're gonna dry brush this dark green onto all the parts of the carapace, followed by a second round of dry brushing using this lighter green again to pick out the raised points and edges of the carapace. Now I'm doing this with 2 shades of green because I like green, but you can also use this double dry brushing approach for any color that you want for the carapace. Okay, so let's use our Wraithbone to clean up any mistakes that we made on the skin. After this step, our Termagants are looking ready for us to apply a wash. But washes can be messy, and I don't want to hold this Termagant and get paint all over my beautiful delicate hands. So instead, I'm gonna grab our bases which are now dry and cut through the basing material to reveal that slot that you're supposed to stuff the Termagants into when you assemble them. For the arms, I'm gonna grab this metal tin lid and let the magnets that we stuck to the arms hold them in place while I apply the wash. Oh yeah, it's the circle of arms. I'm definitely not gonna see this in my nightmares. Okay, let the washing begin. So after we thin out the wash with a bit of water, we're just gonna slop it all over the skin and the arms. Once they're dry, our Termagants are gonna be really close to being done. We just have to paint the bases, so let's take those off and use our trusty grey primer to spray them grey. Then we're gonna use our blue tack to stick them to the tops of a couple of paint pots to make them easier to paint. Let's mix some cheap brown and black paint and paint it all over our bases. Oh, and on that little connecty bit too. Then we're gonna use just the cheap brown paint and dry brush it all over the base. And to finish our bases, we're just gonna use this cheap khaki paint and dry brush highlight the bases. Ooh, and I almost forgot, let's use some Screaming Skull and pick out the teeth on the Termagants. And finally, let's just use a little bit of Nuln Oil and apply it to the teeth and to the eyes. Okay, let's super glue them to all their bases. And there you go, we're done, and that is one very passable looking Termagant. And using this method, I find it really easy to get a bunch of these guys done in a really short amount of time. If you enjoyed watching this video, please consider giving me a like. If you want to see more wargaming content, please subscribe. And if you really want to help me out and support this channel, please head on over to my Patreon. The link is in the description down below. Thank you to my friends for getting me these Termagants in the first place, and thank you for watching. And don't worry, I'll definitely give these guys some fun names and I'll do a little video on it too. Hope you had fun, and I'll see you all next time.